Hey guys, welcome back to the programming interview series where we will be breaking down interview programming questions step by step. For this series, we'll be working on a website called Codility, which has lots of free practice questions to choose from. The question we will be working on today is Lesson 4, Question 3, Max Counters. So let's start by reading the question. You are given n counters, initially all set to 0, and you have two possible operations on them. So your first operation is increase x, so counter x is increased by 1. Then your second operation is max counter, so all counters are set to the maximum value of any counter. So we have a non-empty array A of m integers, and this array represents consecutive operations. So here are the following conditions. So we have if A at element k is equal to x, such that 1 is less than x is less than n, then the operation k is increase x, and increase x is just the counter x is increased by 1. If A at element k is equal to n plus 1, where n is the total number of values, then operation k is max counter. And max counter again is all counters are set to the maximum value of any counter. So for example, if we have n equals 5, an array A such that A at 0 equals 3, A at 1 equals 4, and so on, we're going to go and we're going to break down the output. So initially, everything is set to 0. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. N is 5, so we have 5 zeros. For our first element, A at 0 is equal to 3. So we want to increase 3. So on our output, we go to the third element. So 1, 2, 3, and we increase it by 1. Because the increase is actually increase the value at x. So we increase the value at 3. For our second one, A at 1 is equal to 4. So we want to increment the value in the fourth position. So this is our following array. A at 2 is equal to 4. So again, we want to increase at position 4 by 1. A at 3 is equal to 6. 6 is actually equal to 5 plus 1. So n plus 1. So we actually want to run the max counter operation. So max counter means that all counters are set to the maximum value of any counter in the array. So here our maximum was 2, so we set all of them equal to 2. A at 4 is equal to 1, so we want to increase element 1 by 1, so we have 3. A at 5 is equal to 4, so we want to increase 4 by 1. And then A at 6 is equal to 4, so we also want to increase 4 by 1. And this is our final array that we get from the operation. And then so the final output would be this array. So 3, 2, 2, 4, 2. And that's what we want to output to the code. So here we are in our Eclipse editor. Same as usual, we're going to start with our public static integer array solution. And we're going to start by initializing an integer minimum value is equal to 0 and an integer maximum value is equal to 0. We're going to use these as our counters throughout the script to help us decide on our next decision. Then we're going to create a for loop. So for integer k equals 0, k is less than array a dot length k plus plus. Then within our array, we're going to start performing some operations. So we're going to start with integer x is equal to array a at element k. Next, we're going to create the if statement. So if x is greater than or equal to 1 and x is also less than or equal to n, So this is our first condition. And then else if x is equal to n plus 1. And this is going to be our second condition. So these represent our two possible operations from within the script. Okay, so we're going to start by coding for the first operation. So again, this is for the increase operation. So to begin, we're going to have to create an array, which is going to contain all of our answers, which we'll be submitting at the end. So we have integer array, answer array equals new int array with n elements. So for our increase operation, we're going to go at our answer array at x minus 1. So that's just because of indexing arrays, we have to use a minus 1 because it starts at 0. And then we're going to make it equal to the maximum of our array at x minus 1 plus 1, so as incremented by 1, and the maximum of the minimum value plus 1. So the reason we're doing this is actually a trick so that we don't have to keep track of all our values. We can just reference our minimum value. And so using the minimum value, we can increment our array. And then after doing this, we also want to check again for the new maximum value. So our max value is equal to the maximum of our answer array x minus 1 and max value. So by doing this command here, if our new value in our answer array is greater than the max value, then the max value becomes our new value. If not, it'll stay at the same max value. Next, we're going to want to write the code for our maximum operation. So to do this, we're going to write minimum value is equal to maximum value. Straightforward, because we're resetting our minimum value to equal to our maximum value. So next, we're going to want to write our line of code for actually submitting our array to Codility. So we're going to do a for loop. So for integer I equals 0, I is less than our array.length, and I plus plus. And then, so our answer array at I is going to be equal to the maximum of our answer array at I and the minimum value. And then we're going to want to return our answer array. So the reason we're doing this way is because actually throughout our whole script, we're not even setting the values in our array. We're kind of referencing to our minimum and maximum values. So by doing this, we actually set our arrays, our final values in our array here on this line. So we have our array at index I is equal to the maximum of whatever value it currently is, or the minimum value in our script. So if for whatever reason it wasn't set, it'll take the minimum value from our variable. So now we're going to test our answers in Eclipse first before going to Codility. So we start by creating an integer array A is equal to a new integer array, and we're going to copy the same values that we had in our question. So we're going to have 3, 4, 4, 6, 1, 4, 4. And then we're going to initialize an answer array, and it's going to be equal to our function. So solution, we're going to plug in 5 as the length of our array, or sorry, 5 is the value of n, and we plug in our array A. And then we want to print out our answer. So we're going to do system out print, and then an arrays function dot toString and our answer array. So this should print out our array in the console so we can see our answer. Then we just hit run, and we see that this is our answer array, 32242, and this actually matches the array that was in the question. So now I've opened up Codility, and we're actually going to test out our solution in the website. So I'll just copy in the code that we've written here together. And we're also going to want to import our imports. And if we run a test, let's see if it works. And yes, so we get an answer of okay. So everything seems to be working correctly. So let's submit our test and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so the solution obtained a perfect score. We have a time complexity of O n plus m. All of our tests passed. And we get a score of 100%. So that's what we want to see here. So that's it for me for today. So as always, if you liked the video, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. And if you would like to see more of my content, please feel free to subscribe. It really helps me out. Thank you so much.